There is power in personal stories. It connects us, it empowers us, and it holds us accountable. It creates understanding and expands our perspective. This is Big in the Community with Jonathan James at the Kalamazoo Promise, a podcast aimed to highlight local leaders, collaborators, and innovators in the greater Kalamazoo community. All right, welcome back. This is Big in the Community. We are on episode 12. Probably not. You'll see it in the title. But anyway, I'll start us off with a quote. I'd rather regret the risks that didn't work out than the chances I didn't take at all. And that's Simone Biles. Now, for our guest today, somebody who I think is big in the community, we have Mr. Johnnie Berry from Kalamazoo Parks and Recs and also PAL Police Athletic League. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Johnnie Berry, born and raised Kalamazoo, Michigan, 1976. Mom and dad come from a very, very large family in this city. You could say probably about 40% of the black people in this town is my family. So I have a very large family. Johnnie Berry, born and raised on the north side, grew up playing the typical sports, football, basketball. I had my uncles, my father involved in my life that time teaching me football, basketball. Mother, born and raised in Mount Zion Church, baptized, married, all my kids baptized in that church. I'm a north side brethren from Kalamazoo, Michigan, man. I love it here. I'm married, 6 kids, 4 daughters, 2 boys. I've been married 24 years.
Wow. Congratulations.
Happy wife, happy life.
Yep, that is true.
Grandfather. I have 7 grandkids, 4 boys, 3 girls. So I'm a poopaw. I'm a poopaw, husband, and a father. Yeah. Wow. There we go.
That's big in the community just by your family,
yes,
like
sir.
You said. How long have you been in your current role? Like what is your current role also?
My current role with Parks and Recs is the youth program advocate, also the coordinator for Kalamazoo PAL Police Athletic League. And this is my second full year at the position.
Okay. Yes. And then what were you doing before that?
I was doing energy assessments for Consumers Energy.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Very cool. So how would you say that you, in your role right now, how do you engage with the Kalamazoo community?
Well, it's kind of easy for me being raised here, right? And a lot of the people. So once I put the word out of what I'm doing, I get a quick response. And then there's so many other people seeing what I'm doing. They share that information. So once it gets out like that, Johnnie Berry's doing this. And so I start getting the responses and talking to parents about what I'm doing. And so the typical social media marketing, that's the best way to use it. If you have Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, that's how I get the word out.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen posts on Facebook of what you're doing. I always try to keep up with it, but there's a lot that goes on in Kalamazoo community.
Yes, it's a lot going on in the city, which is a good thing. So any parents out there saying there's nothing out there for their kids, we need to do a little bit more research.
Yes. Just gotta know the people who are doing it.
There we go.
Or look for it.
Yes.
That when I started my job, that was one of the things I had to learn, like actually how to find the things that are going on here in Kalamazoo.
Yes.
It's as simple as like if we're Facebook friends, I can see what's going on. I can see sports to get my kid involved in. But yeah, there are a lot of opportunities, and just thank you for the work that you do as well.
Appreciate it. Appreciate that very much.
How would you say that you collaborate with different organizations?
For instance, you guys, I reached out to Vaughn when I first got to position about what I wanted to do with Midnight League, and Vaughn said, I have 2 young men that I would like to get you involved with. And I was like, okay. He introduced me to you and Dante, and that partnership and that relationship started right there in that room. And with you guys being younger men and me just sharing my vision, y'all got it. And we worked well together. And so with the Promise partnership, that's just like magic, right? I appreciate what you and Dante have done for Midnight League in the past couple of years. Other organizations, I try to make sure I have a relationship with an individual in that organization, and it makes it much easier for me to talk about PAL and the programs that we have.
Yeah, I know that was probably one of the first things that I did here was working with you on PAL or with Midnight League. And I was like, wow, I didn't like, I heard of Midnight League. I hadn't done it myself, but like when I saw all the people that, there's older Vaughn Washington, he's talking about like, oh yeah, we used to do that and yada, yada. I'm like, what? I didn't know this was such a big thing. But then also what goes into it, like also the workshops. It's not just basketball. It's also life skills. Like they're actually getting multiple ways of like education and different life skills that they might not have learned before. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay. Like and even like me and Dante working together, like Dante's big in he's big in the community, but like in a different way. He's in like the sports, he's basketball, like that's his field. So like I'll lean on him to bring people in that area. Yes. Anyway, let's keep moving. So what you talked about a little bit, but what's your story and who are you? Real wide open question where whatever you feel like sharing, talk about whatever you feel like.
I'm my mom's first child, so I'm the oldest in the house.
Okay.
Like I said, born in the 70s, grew up in the 80s and the 90s, so you can just only imagine what a young black male is going through, living in the inner city of Kalamazoo, especially in the 90s. 1990, I'm in high school, right? Late 80s, I'm in junior high school. We seeing this transition in our city from us from out of town people coming into our city, and it's changing the whole dynamics of what's going on. Me coming out the house and seeing kids that used to ride the school bus with me, now they not riding the school bus, and when I get out of school, they got a pocket full of money, and my environment became that. So I became a product of my environment, right? It's a hell of an athlete. Should have went to the NFL. I went to college, played 1 year of football at Grand Rapids JC. Came back home, just made the wrong decisions, man, hanging with the wrong people. And that's what I tell kids today is don't be afraid to walk away, and don't be afraid to tell them no. Because a lot of times peer pressure puts you in a bad situation. Like myself, when I was young, catching 2-3 felonies, and that travel with you throughout your life, right, if you don't take care of your business. So, no, but me being a product of my environment made me grow up made me grow up fast and realize who were my friends and who wasn't my friends. And my best friend at that time was my 1-year-old son, right? I chose my son over hanging with males. Once I chose my son, I started giving back to the community. I want to say I was about 21, 22. I started coaching. I was already coaching basketball with my Uncle Jerry in YBL, Midnight League, but I got into football about 1998 because in 97 some stuff went down that just made me realize, like, I'm not really a street dude. I might like the hustle and the money, but I'm not that person, right? My mom ain't raised me to be crazy. I wasn't crazy, right? I was just a curious little black kid growing up in the neighborhood. But once I got to coaching, my main reason for coaching was to make sure that I can have this conversation with another young black male. Look, dude, don't go down that path. Because if you do, A, B, C, D gonna hit you. I done did it all. I have that. If you don't want what I have, go this way. Tell them no, right? They can be talking all the crap they want. Now, some of those friends of mine, they're still out in the streets. look where I'm at in life, right? So me getting married young, I didn't want to be a black man with a bunch of kids, right, around the city. That's not nothing cool to brag about. So I got married when I was 24 years old. The young lady my wife had my daughter, and my mom grew up with her father. So it was important, but very, I don't want to say important. Just over the years, just listen to your mom talk about her father not being in her life. I wanted to make sure that I was in my daughter's life, right? And then my wife gave me 3 more daughters. So, no, just being married and having these young girls. Now, my sons, I'm not worried about, but my daughters, I didn't want any other men having no type of influence over their thinking or what they want to do because they don't have a dad. And sometimes I know this, them young females that don't have a father, they can be easily influenced, right? But if that young lady has a father who has more influence, who's she going to turn to and talk to in a time of need? She's not going to run and talk to him. She's going to come talk to her dad. So that's what was important to me with being in my daughter's life and marrying my wife, right? Those pieces, me coaching and me just having the trials and tribulation through life, it's what brought me here and who I am today. Right? If I didn't have that background, I'd probably be somewhere else lost because it's more to my story than a lot of people know. And that goes with the mental health. Having a great support system, mother, family, you can beat mental illness. You can. It can be beat because if a person don't have that real support system, they're going to be out here left alone to try to fend for life on their own, right? But my mom and family knew what I went through, so they put their arms around me and didn't let me stray away. So I stayed. Like I said, I was hard-headed, but I listened. So if an old head dropped a jewel, I made sure that I picked it up,
right,
and I added it to my game plan, right? I wasn't one of them hard-headed little boys, you just talking, I knew more than you. No, the OG talking, I'm listening. And I caught myself in them early 20s hanging around older men. And the knowledge that it was dropping was like, the dudes on the block ain't saying this. Man, where was y'all at 10 years ago? Right? If you was around me 10 years ago, I probably wouldn't have these felonies, right? Because I would have listened to somebody telling me, like, little dog, that ain't the way to go, man. You know what I'm saying? Don't even attempt that. You know, because if you attempt that, this is what's going to take place. Didn't have that. So that's what we are today to the young kids. We telling them that. So, but that's Johnnie Berry, man, in a nutshell. Born and raised here, man. Family man. Community man. Just want to see the kids win.
I appreciate you sharing that. I know that that's not necessarily easy to do. Like, and even seeing some of the things that you said, I'm like, I connect with some of that stuff. Like, picking up gems that the old heads are sharing. And even, you know, growing up, there was a point where I was like, okay, I hear it, but I'm not listening to it. There's a point where, like, I think I know everything. And then, like, I just learned about this last week. There's what's it called? It's a critical thinking or a way of thinking. It's kind of like a scale. On one side, it goes up, and you think you know everything. And then you start to go down, and then you say, okay, there's things I can learn. I don't know it at all. Like, when you get to the different points, it's like, I don't know it at all. And then you get, start to come back up, and it's a point where you realize it's more complicated than I thought it was. And I think there are a lot of youth who don't don't know they're in the spot where they're saying, oh, I know everything. Or want to hear that I don't know everything.
That part.
Like that's where I was probably when I was like 21, 22. I was like, I know everything. I don't, I hear you saying this, but I'm not listening. And then even some of the stuff that you were sharing, like about your daughter, and that was kind of like a turning point for you. That for me as well. Like once I had my son and he was 1, I was like, I gotta get it together. Went back to school, all that. So that's like there are these connections between different people that we don't realize are there, and we would have never found that out unless we had a deep conversation.
There we go.
And that's where the relationship building is actually important. When we meet with different partners or youth or whoever, unless we have these conversations about, oh, these are the things that connect us. If we're just looking at surface level stuff, we're never going to get there.
Very true.
We're just going to say, oh, this person looks different than me, sounds different than me. We have nothing in common. But if we actually have a conversation like that, you talk about your kids, you talk about your wife, when you actually talk about those things, and it's like, oh, okay, there are more things in common between us than I would have thought unless we had this conversation. So I really enjoy conversations like this. I really do. Like and this is the stuff that like it comes out. It's like, oh, like when people hear your why, it makes them want to help you that much more. Like I'm hearing Johnnie Berry's story. I'm like, I'm actually rooting for him now.
Yeah.
Because I know what he's going through. I know what he's been through. And then the fact that like how resilient you were to get from point A to point B. And then when you see all the different things that happen along the way, then it's like, oh wow, like it's even more of an amazing story when you hear those things. So
thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that.
Man. It's just a part of life, man. If one thing I paid attention to my Uncle Jerry when we was young. He always just say personal growth. Like, personal growth? What you mean, personal growth? So we was like 15, 16 years old, standing in front of my grandmother's house. He was like, personal growth is not the growth on the outside, nephew. It's when you matured as an individual on the inside. And so I said, I was 26, 2 years after I got married. I said, I get it. I get what personal growth is now. I did it. I grew up, right? A lot of us want to still continue to live our second childhood. There's individuals out here with kids living a second childhood. But for me, personal growth was that day I asked that woman to marry me, because I could have easily left her with and been the third baby mama, right? But I said, nah, personal growth. I'm going to marry this woman. And so it took when I turned 26, I'm just sitting somewhere. I'm like, I grew up, I got you. And so to the kids in the community, personal growth is when you get it, when you get what life is, when you get that what you're accountable for and what you're responsible for, right? If you have children, you're responsible to make sure that they clothe and have a roof over their head and they're fed. If you with that young lady and you've been with her for 5, 6, 7 years, why you haven't married her yet? You owe her that, right? Some of us run from our responsibilities to where I looked at it like, I don't want to continue to live that life. So let me make these changes right now. And that was part of the personal growth. So, no, man, these kids need to know that they loved out here, that somebody want to see them win. We don't want to see you in prison. We don't want to see you not walking across a high school stage or a university stage. We want to see that, right? We not sitting back here talking about just pointing the fingers. Nah, little dog, we trying to figure out a solution for y'all to get from A to Z easy, right? We don't want you to have all these hills and valleys and all that, but y'all don't want to listen, right? You don't want. We've been there, done that. But if I'm trying to give you some game, take it and quit trying to give me game, right? Because your game, I don't need. Because your game, I tried that when I was your age, and didn't nobody tell me right from wrong. And all I'm trying to do is give you the right game. So now when you do right, you can come back and be like, big homie, you was right. You absolutely right, big homie. If I would have kept running with them, look where they at now, big homie. That's all I was saying, little dog. pay attention to your surroundings. So, just I appreciate this opportunity from the promise of me sharing my story and just talking.
Yeah. I mean, that's all it is. And there's so much stuff that comes from it that we wouldn't have got to unless we, have those conversations. So you talked about it a little bit, but is there anything specific that, like maybe a person or something that motivated you to get where you are now?
Self-motivated.
Okay.
I was self-motivated because I didn't want to do life in prison.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know what I'm saying? So in the 90s, I'm watching friends that I hung with getting long time. And I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want that, man. I want better for myself. And so I stepped away from everybody, dog. I stepped away and looked at my son and said, it's me and you. Me and you. I'm 20, 21. He just won. How many of y'all know, how many of y'all friends, how many of y'all know of y'all friends that will give up hanging with their road dogs, their buddies that they hang out every weekend? They give up time for their 1-year-old child and say, this is my best friend, not the streets.
That's tough. I mean, especially if that's not what you've seen, if it hasn't been modeled, if you haven't seen somebody who actually coached you up in how to be a father.
So the motivation came from the community, right? It comes from where you come from. When I started coaching, and I want to say coaching what gave me that battery pack in my back, right? That let me know, okay, I can coach. I can do this. Because if I didn't wake up smiling, say if I woke up mad, then I'm mad the whole entire day, and I'm taking this out on everybody. So when I get to football practice, my kids is not really getting the best Johnnie Berry because I'm not self-motivated that day. But if Johnnie Berry wake up smiling, whistling, skipping through the house, and I get to football practice, the kids is like, there go coach right there, right? And they react different to that happy coach compared to that mad coach. That mad coach, they going to have the same attitude as me. But if I come in with this, and they be like, why you so happy? When I woke up, I said, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get to it. So a lot of us sometimes when we wake up, we not motivated to want to go get it. Johnnie Berry found the way. I have to wake up every day, be motivated to go get it. Because if I'm not, then I'm not being productive, first and foremost. But for me, and especially coaching youth football, I found out that the more motivated that I am, the kids is extra motivated, right? And so now they ready to run through that brick wall for me. But motivation has to really start with you. I can't be motivated off what you're doing or what she's doing, right? I got to be motivated off what I'm about to do. I can't be motivated off a video, some music. Nah, it's motivate myself, right? So it's me.
I like that. I'm over here taking notes. I'm over here like, okay, I got to get up. I got to get after it.
You got to, man. You have to. You can't allow nobody else. That's just like if you need a trainer when you're going to work out in the gym. Mentally, you know you don't need no trainer. You wasting money. Exercise and motivate yourself to do it, right? Bring your girl with you. Motivate her.
Be a leader.
Be a leader. There we go.
All right. If there was anything that you could do to transform the Kalamazoo community, what would it be? Regardless of politics, funding, anything. Just make it happen.
Now, this is where the true serum finna kick in. In the past 5 years, I have seen the city of Kalamazoo build everything for adults and what's finna take place in the future is for adults. my vision, if we want to combat homelessness, gun violence, especially gun violence, these babies need something built up for them. Not just one place, not just two places. But if I work for Parks and Rec and I don't see no rec centers in my communities, right? No safe zones for these babies. You know, when I grew up on the north side, the Douglas was my safe zone. I ain't have to sign no paper to walk in the building. I can just walk in the Douglas. Sometimes I can go across the street, knock on Howard's door with 10 little boys with me. We all the same age. Howard give us the key, say go open up the gym. Just don't let nobody else in, right? That was a safe zone for us to get away from the epidemic that was going on in our community. But what I would like to see is more stuff being built up for the kids. I'm seeing too much stuff for adults. You just built a new courthouse. You built the juvenile courthouse. You built the substation. You built this, right? But where's the kid stuff at? Where's the fun activities for the babies to go to, right? Because a lot of the kids in the inner city can't get to the Boys and Girls Club on the south side. And the Boys and Girls Club ain't sending no buses around the city to bring the kids there. We don't have nothing new on the north side. We don't have nothing new on the east side. And now a lot of kids do live on the west side nowadays, right? We don't have nothing nowhere for these babies. So for me, if I could change anything in the city of Kalamazoo, put up some rec centers, state of the art, so these kids can feel self-confidence when they walking in and walking out of the building, knowing that when I walk in, there's somebody that's going to care for me, make sure I got a meal, I'm getting educated, I'm having fun, I'm not feeling bullied. Walk out the building, feel the same way. So now you building up a whole new generation, and then with those kids having that safe spaces, you're going to separate the kids who don't want to play with guns, who want a life. Because now I got something to do. I don't have to go hang with them, right? They don't want to, but all the mother, I'm going in there with them. I'm going to go play. I'm going to save myself. Because at the end of the day, this group that's still over here, they can't save themselves because they want a problem, right? But for me, no, Jonathan, I would love to see the city of Kalamazoo build up some stuff for these babies because they don't have nothing in none of their neighborhoods. And that's why we have this high violence in our city, right? We had programming when we was young. What was that program on campus they used to have in the summertime for kids? Upward Bound. Do they have that anymore? Okay, then.
I can't say.
So all these programs that was available in the 90s,
yeah,
gone. Gone. And so the kids don't have the same opportunities that we had, right? Even with Midnight League, when I was in it, there was opportunity for scholarships. But now we have the promise. And that's what I wanted to say when you were talking on that earlier. The real biggest reason why I wanted to partner with the Kalamazoo Promise is this. When I hear of the numbers of the black male and the black female, okay, that hurts. It hurts because my generation, we all say, I wish we had the promise. Right. We would have went to college, right? But these kids is not getting it at all. When you got 30 to 40% of the black male graduating, and then after the pandemic, the black female numbers have dropped also. That is the hurtful thing in Kalamazoo, is that we not really putting a lot of more time into our babies, right? And if we did, we can combat a lot of stuff, and we can see a more nourishing community. We can have more people be. What I really need these kids to do is be more vocal about what they want. Because if I can't hear what you want, how can I be an advocate and make it happen?
Yeah. That's a tough thing to even know when you're that young. Like, when I'm a kid, I'm not thinking, oh, I need a safe space. I need a place that I can go to that's an alternative to all I know. It's a tough thing. Like you were saying, there are a lot of things that there should be, a lot of things that we should be pouring our dollars into that aren't necessarily there. And we talk about doing this for the youth and doing all these different things. And there's times where I'm like, are these conversations actually turning into anything? And that's where I get frustrated. Is if we meet, we talk, and then it takes a long time to actually make something happen. That's however many kids that we're missing that could have something. And I don't know, it's kind of tough when I'm in a room and I'm not young, I'm 34, but I'll be sitting in a room and I'll say something that I feel like I'm the youngest person in the room because I'll say like, why are we waiting that long? And everybody will kind of look at each other kind of like, oh, this is, it takes time to make these things happen. But in my mind, I'm just thinking about, okay, but if this was happening right now, where this is a right now problem and we're not making something happen right now to fix it.
Very true.
That bothers me.
You get tired of sitting in meetings, wasteful meetings, wasting your time. A lot of people want to hear they self-talk for no reason. Bring me in the room when it's time to work the solution, right? I'm a solution. I need solution answers. I don't want to sit there and meet with you and talk about what your agenda is. Look, man, 5 kids just got shot over the 2-week period. What we going to do? Is we going to go get on the front line or we going to stay behind these closed doors? Right? Because that's what's going on in my city. A lot of people of power, that look like me and you, they stay behind them closed doors. So I'm going to use an example. Last year we had over 20-some murders. How many of these high-profile black people was at these places trying to offer resources, try to offer any type of help to the kids and the families? Tell you none. I know of certain programs in the city that does it, right? But there's other people that I know that can shake up the room. They don't care. If they care, they'd be out here doing something about it. And that's the hurtful thing. At this point in time, people only care about theirs. Because if you cared about others, we wouldn't be in the situation we're in, right? Because then if you this powerful, prominent black individual, why you can't go in the room and make something happen for these kids in this city? It's not a lot, but it's a lot. The city of Kalamazoo is not that big, 80,000 people. We are a small town. We should be able to figure this out. But, Jonathan, I'm like you. I can't sit in. I'm tired of sitting in these rooms. I'm being real, man. Because the problem is out there. The problem is not behind the wall. The problem is out there. So you got to go out there and face the problem out there. Us having talks all the time and meeting till 8 o'clock and eating chicken and breaking bread down, man, that ain't getting it for me, man. I look, when that little boy mama come to football practice, she say, John, I need you to visit the school. I said, okay, I'm gonna visit the school. When I come back from visiting the school and I say, Mom, this need to take place. Some mothers do it because she's a single mother. And she's listening. She understands she has help, right? So when I go talk to a prominent individual and I'm telling them about these type of kids and they're just going through one ear and out the other, that's letting me know you don't care about them. You care about the bag that can come in, that can help them, and all you want to do is control the bag, but you don't want to be there to help them. Johnny Berry don't like that because I'm on the ground floor with these people. You can put $1 billion in my pocket, I probably would still be here instead of traveling the world, right? Because I know there's some kids here that can do a lot better than me if I help them. All they need is a little bit of help and a little bit of push. And some of these women, sometimes they don't have the confidence. I'm going to be real with you. some of these young men are bigger than their mamas, and they shook. And mama don't, you know? So that's when a real uncle, granddad, or a real man got to step in. Yes. Respect that woman. That's your mom. You know how many times I got to tell her when I see a young kid. Today, these kids are so with their moms. I'm like, look, dude, why is you? Yank him by his helmet, take him over in the corner, and I'll say some stuff to him. Mama come back and she give me a high five. What you say to my baby? Something I had to tell him, right? Something that you ain't said to him, but Coach JB said it in the manner of, I said it because I love him. I said it because he needs to be disciplined. I said it because he needs to be saved. Because if I don't say this now to him, I don't want to look up when he's 15, 16, and I'm getting a phone call that he's either going to prison for life or he's dead, right? So help me now. I will help you, but help me also, right? And if we work with each other, we can say this little guy. So, Jonathan, I love these babies so much, but other people got to want to step up and make sure that these kids have it, right? They got to. And sometimes it's just time, just some time. Take them to a Western game, buy them some popcorn, get them a pop, and watch how much he enjoy that with you, right? You ain't got to take them out and spend money. It's time. Time wins. Because the more time you spend with a person, like you said, we get to know each other, right? Especially for a kid. You want a kid to trust you? You want a kid to trust you, you got to spend some time with them. I just don't show up to football practice and I'm done with you, right? Because the motto is, if I don't yell at you, I don't care about you. That's what we say in football. But that's a lie. I care about all y'all. I just yell at him more because he hard-headed. You're right. And he know why, right? But it really does. I wish this generation grew up in the time that I grew up in, to where my next door neighbor can whoop my butt and go tell my mama, and there's no argument.
This is why I did it.
Right? Dude, it really did take a village. My parents don't come from that. Our parents come from that. But these kids today don't know what a village is.
Right. It still takes a village. It's just not, the village isn't there.
The village isn't there. And I go back to it again. That 5-10 minutes make no difference. That time that you spend with that kid. When I take kids, a young man was like, man, why y'all bring y'all kids to the football games and y'all don't let y'all parents? Why y'all make y'all parents bring them? I was like, well, we make the parents invest in them. It's not for free. The parents got to pay for them. But I say, look, dog, all these kids, parents don't have vehicles. And why would I be an honorary person to say he can't get a ride to the game when he a kid, right? But what y'all fail to realize, if I'm taking this kid with me to Detroit for 2 hours, he got to get to know me and I got to get to know him. And then we got to ride back home.
Right.
Right. So that time with those kids, they love Coach JB by the end of the season. Walking up to me, giving me hugs, dapping me up. And so all it was that little bit of time for this kid who don't have a dad in his life. Don't have an uncle or a grandfather. So I was the only male figure in his life. So
I remember there was a time where we went and we talked to these young men, just like about the promise, and I just gave like a little snippet of, you know, my experience in KPS and going to KVCC and Western, and I'm expecting the kids to like say like, oh, you went to Kalamazoo Central, or oh, you went to Hillside, like things that stuck out to them in the story. And a lot of the kids, the thing that stuck out to them was when you were in college, you had a son and you took care of him. That was the part that stuck out to them. And these are like, you know, 12 to 15-year-olds that we're talking to.
Okay.
And to hear that, like for them to recognize that and say like, oh, you were there, you stepped up. Like those are the things that you remembered about the story. Kind of hit me right here.
Because them kids that heard your story don't have a man in their life. So once they see you and you told your story, and then I'm in college and I took care of my child, and they like,
that was the weird part,
right?
That stuck out,
right? So, because once again, the individuals in their life, they either get them on a weekend or they see them every 3-4 months. And once again, that little man deserves more than that. That little girl, especially that little girl, she deserves more than that from her father.
Yeah. Okay, on a lighter note, let's let's get out of that for a second. Come up for air. What are some of your favorite things about Kalamazoo?
Growing up fishing. Still to this day, I fish. I call that my water therapy. Get out. Sometimes kids, man, get out the city. Go sit on a lake. Go get in the boat, sit on the lake. Even if you don't catch nothing, it's just the fact that you out there, quiet, to yourself. Another thing I love about Kalamazoo is I love my people, man. Kalamazoo is Kalamazoo. You can't love it or hate it. It is what it is, right? I'm from this city. When I was young, I can go anywhere in this city. It wasn't no size of towns. I can ride my bike from the north side, south side, west side, the east side. No issues. Knew everybody. But I love my people here. Thirdly, that might be hard. The past. In the past, we had a lot of, this was party central growing up in the 90s. So one memory from the past was I can club hop from warehouse is where Kalamazoo County Foundation is at. Okay. That used to be the warehouse. Right here next to Bimbo's Pizza. Used to be Club Soda. Okay. Downtown had like 3-4 clubs. Then you can go out to Portage to Cheek. Then you can go out Wayside on Stadium Drive. And then you had like 3 clubs on campus. So in the 90s, man, Kalamazoo was busy because people from Grand Rapids, Ben Harbor, Battle Creek was all coming here to party. So in the 90s, it was fun growing up here in the 90s because, boy, I can go in that club, party for 15, 20 minutes, go to the next one, right? So, and everybody everywhere. So it wasn't, whatever group of people was here wasn't over there. Right. So, no, but fishing, love for my people, and back in the day, it was the party. Okay. Yeah.
That's what's up. I didn't know that was all here.
Oh, man, Kalamazoo. And it wasn't no ignorance, right? When we say how you can throw a party now and you're going to get a lot of other stuff going on. After the club, you can go home, chill, walk out the club, no issues, right? So, yeah, that was the difference.
Okay. Yeah. All right, if the Kalamazoo Promise was available to you, how would that have changed things for you? Or would it have changed things for you too?
Let's say before my freshman year in high school, and I knew in the 7th, 8th grade that the Promise was available to me going into high school, I probably would have got all A's. And went to either Michigan State, right? But the Promise would have changed a lot of us because we would have got our educations. I come from especially my aunties and uncles in the South. My grandfather didn't play with them. They're all college graduates, and they all had to play an instrument. So here in my aunties, I have two aunties that graduated from college. One auntie was a teacher. My biggest influence was my Uncle Anthony. We close in age, but he's a Q. And when he went to college, that's all we really looked at. It was like, man, Unc in college, right? Wow, I want to be like Unc. I want to be like Unc. So I was always to be like my Uncle Anthony, especially with getting an education. For me, I wouldn't be here if I would have got my education, right? I'd probably be living somewhere else. But I can speak for probably 50% of my friends. We would all took the Promise and went to college. We wouldn't have went to Valley, right? Because if we know for 4 years, you come in as a freshman, that I can go to any school in the state of Michigan I want to. You know how many kids would have went to Michigan and Michigan State for my era? Like, it would have been crazy. And Michigan State was crazy back in the day. The parties there. Man, so no, man. I would have took advantage of it. I would have back then. I was into business administration in college. I switched it over probably about 2011 to sports management. So I would have took advantage of it. A lot of us would have took advantage of the promise, man. If we know going into the freshman year, I got the promise when I graduate. Come on, man. Come on, man. You ain't got to tell me twice.
Right.
You ain't got to tell me twice. Shoot. My college paid for, mama. And mama saying, well, you know you out here at 18, right? Just make sure you keep them grades up.
No question.
Yeah, man, yes. That would have been a blessing. I wish that's a blessing to these babies from 2005 to almost 20 years old, right? Almost 20 years old. Man.
Yeah. Getting there.
Wow.
If you had a gold nugget of information that you would share with someone who wants to do the same work as you, what would it be?
Passion. Passion. If you don't have the passion of teaching and willing to teach, don't jump over here, because this lane is all about teaching. When in football, when I'm done at the end of the day and we in a huddle, I'm talking life skills, right? I'm talking education. I'm telling young black men, young Latino men that's on my team, I want to see more doctors, more lawyers, more businessmen, more financial people, right? More bankers, more business owners. I'm saying this to these kids because I don't want you really playing football. I want you to go be something bigger than football. You can play this game, make money, and go do other things, but you being a doctor or an engineer help me out more, right? Because you building something and you taking care of somebody. A scientist, a mathematician. You know, I speak that into those kids, man. I talk about last year I brought up my past to the kids, and they was like, "Whoa, okay, Coach JB, you was that was your coach when I was a young man, but look at your coach now, right?" So no, my passion for the love of football makes it easier for me to teach these young men about what's going on in their life, education, making the right choices. And you got to be willing to, it's not a lot of sacrifice, but it's a lot of, you got to be willing to have that time to tell your wife or your girlfriend, look, I got to go spend an hour and a half with the little homie. Mom just hit me up. He's going through something. Quick story. Young white boy, only white boy on my team, right? We take him to Dallas. He the only white boy on the bus. Mom sends him with us. She understood we was good men. That young man taught me that color didn't matter, that period that he was with me, right? Because he could have easily ran away from me and the other coach because it's all black. But this young white boy took us in, and we took him in just as well. And when we learned of his story, we was hurt, we was sad, but more importantly, we became protectors of this young man, right? And when the mom saw that in just more than one of us, she was like, yeah, man, we real men. And when we hear something about a baby, we look at stuff totally different, and especially when it's dealing with this young man. And the mom, this is crazy, the mom is dating somebody else, right? And he came to practice. And I had to tell the brother, I say, look, not in your business, but that young man needs a man. If you here for his mama, that's cool. Leave the kids alone. Be for the mama. But bro, I'm being real with you. He been through something in life. He needs a man. right? And that man stepped up. And even though the little dude ended up doing some during the pandemic, we know the stuff, crazy stuff went down with this, that, right? But he ended up making the wrong decision. He came home. We had a conversation, and he's doing amazing things right now with his life. And I guess you have to have a little bit of trials in your life to understand where you're going. And he understands. But that kid did not run away from being around us. And a lot of people with his skin color would have been pulled away from us, right? But his mom wanted him. The mom, single mom, going through hell herself, finding positive black men to put her white sons around. You know, that was different. Because for me to come from the north side, right, I don't coach a lot of white kids, a lot of Latino kids. But just to see this woman, like, man, y'all really do care about these babies, don't y'all? Yeah, we do. We don't play around. We care. And that's the type of man you want in your kid's life, in any type of sport. Any sport, man or female, male or female, you want to make sure that individual cares, first and foremost. They don't care about the money.
Right.
They care about your child well-being, right? On and off the court. So, yeah.
I like that answer. There's a lot in there to unpack. All right, lastly, second to last, do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, when are we setting up our next meeting?
Soon.
No, Jonathan. No, I just it's not even a question, man. I just want to give you your flowers. Thank you for even reaching out to me and want to have this type of conversation. Because I watched a couple of y'all episodes and it wasn't no talk like this.
Right.
But I thank you for reaching out to me and letting me have this conversation with you. And I ask God to continue to bless you and your family. Same for everybody in this room. So no questions. Keep doing what you're doing, and just help out the next person, right? Help out the next young man get to where you at, because y'all have the promise. And make sure these young men of color are utilizing these resources right here. And I wanted to say that earlier. That was the big thing with me connecting with you and Dante, is the promise. I want our kids to win. In Midnight League and Junior Midnight League, they're there to share the information so the kids can know that the promise is here for them. The men in the Midnight League, if your 10 years haven't ran out, right or wrong, right? If your 10 years have not ran out, come get your education. If you don't want a 4-year education, they get a certification. If you don't want a four-year degree, if you don't want a certification, you can do 2 years. Yep. But let's do something where we're changing our lives. And for you kids who have the promise, use it. And you two brothers, make sure that they come in here and they getting that. Because for me, at the end of the day, before I'm going to leave on this note. Me and TJ Smith, I told TJ, I said, TJ, I want to see Norks and Central football win. But in order for them to win, we got to take care of some stuff at the lower level and then make sure that it's reciprocating and going up to where it need to get to. And then we'll have 2 dominant football teams. For y'all, for us, I'm not even going to say y'all, for us, is how do we get our sisters and brothers back in believing that they need to be educated? Because I was told you gain knowledge every day, right? So I'm not the smartest person in the room, right? Because what I don't know, I can learn tomorrow. So every day we're learning. And I just want us to make sure that these next generation of young black men and young black sisters, my brown brothers and sisters, is winning. And they're getting their education. And we're coming and we're working together and not against each other. Because that's the problem in the zoo. We work against each other and not with each other. So, no, I just wish our kids all the best. I wish you guys the best. Dante, Vaughn, everybody in the building. I wish everybody the best success. But most importantly, we need to make sure that these babies is winning.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I knew it would be a great conversation with you. That's why I was like, we got to get him on here because he actually gonna say some stuff that maybe not everybody is willing to say. But thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it very much.
Yeah, I think we'll wrap it up there.
Thank you.